Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. So this is my Domino video again. This is version 2. I had to do a new version because the previous one was too long. It was about 40 minutes and I believe I can cut it down to around 20 minutes. And also there was a few errors as well which I had to fix. So rather than fix them, I thought I'd just redo the video again. And I'll try and make it quicker this time. So in this video, we're going to talk about the dark fate of Domino. What happened to her? Is she dead? Was she killed? Did she really have HIV? Was she targeting Bill? Or is she really a prostitute at the wrong place at the wrong time? And who killed her? Was it her roommate Sally? Does she have a roommate? Does she have a kid? All of these questions we're going to ask because the Domino scene is probably my favorite scene of the movie. Mainly because he asks so many questions and also there's so many hidden, Easter eggs and it's just a great scene overall. It's a really uplifting scene and I think it's the only scene in the movie where it shows two genuine people who are starting to have feelings for each other with souls. You feel like at this point Bill has a soul, and you also feel like Domino has a soul as well, because everyone else we meet in the film doesn't seem to have a real soul. Everyone else seems to be very soulless, and I think this is the only part of the movie where you actually feel a genuine connection. The scene is also quite tragic as well, because you feel like Bill has met a genuine soul for the first time in his life. Because let's face it guys, his wife is very soulless. And I think that's probably because of the years of trauma that she's gone through as an SRA victim. And he doesn't feel anything from his wife. He's just going through life. It's a mundane life, boring life for him. And I don't think his wife has got a soul. And I don't think anyone Bill meets in his life has got a soul. Everyone seems to be soulless. And he hints this in the beginning of the film when they get invited to Ziegler's party. And his wife asks him, "Do you know anyone here?" And his reply is, "Not even a soul." So why would he say something like that? That's definitely Kubrick using the right words there. It makes us think that maybe he's never met any genuine soul in his life. And I think this is the first time he meets a genuine soul. And we wonder what happens to Domino later on in the film because she goes missing. And I think we all wonder when watching the film. I think we all warm up to her and we feel that she has a genuine soul within her, and then she just disappears. And I think not just Bill is wondering where she's gone, but I think we are also wondering where she's gone as well. It's a genuine mystery of the movie. So let's start from this moment where Bill is walking down this particular street and there's a group of lads opposite him. They knock him over and they start calling him an FAGGOT. Obviously I can't say the word on YouTube, but they're mainly hinting or taking the mickey out of his sexuality. And obviously Tom at this point, or should I call him Dr. Bill, at this point he's very, very upset, and his ego's taken a big hit from his wife. He's questioning himself, he's questioning his whole marriage, he's questioning his wife, and his ego takes an even bigger hit with these group of lads just literally pushing him over and calling him an FAGGOT. So he carries on walking with his ego massively bruised, and what better way to bring your ego back than be admired and loved by another woman who wants to basically sleep with you. So this is what happens. So he's walking along the street, and Domino comes up and says hello, and she asks him for the time, and she approaches him. Basically, I mean, he gives her no indication that he's after her or he wants her. he's minding his own business, and it's her that approaches him. It's almost like she was waiting for him in particular, because there's a lot of people walking by. It's a busy street, but she picks him for some particular reason. She follows him, and they seem to hit it on quite well. And she says something really weird and strange. She says, "Do you want to come inside with me?" Which can have two meanings, by the way. Obviously, all you men will probably understand what I'm talking about. So the fact that she says, "Do you want to come inside with me?" also foreshadows later on, where we find out that, she's got AIDS. I mean, that's what they're telling us, that she's got AIDS. So if he did come inside with her, there's a danger that he could get AIDS as well. So, it's all a foreshadow, and I think Kubrick again is playing with the words. So Tom, obviously, with his ego bruised, and he needs a massive ego boost at this point. He doesn't say no, and he kind of goes into Domino's apartment. And you can see Domino's apartment here with the red door. Above the door is 265, which equals 13, which is unlucky 13 for some. And next door is the lotto shop. And again, Kubrick doesn't mess around. He doesn't play around with accidents at all. And the lotto shop could mean many things. Lotto as in he's playing lottery with his life, because later on we find out she's got HIV. So he could be playing lottery with his life, with his health. Or it could mean that he could be playing lottery with not just his life, but also his family's life as well, because he's obviously it's obviously a foreshadow for him going into the mansion party, getting initiated to the cult and things like that. So I think it's just a foreshadow by Stanley Kubrick that, from this point onwards, Tom is basically playing with his life and playing with the life of people he loves. So you see the red door here. He goes in. He looks a bit apprehensive. He's not sure whether he wants to do it or not. He wants to stay faithful to his wife, but he at this point his ego has had a big hit, and he's not sure about his wife anymore. He's just met with Marion, and Marion tried to seduce him as well, even though Marion's got a fiance. So he's questioning life, whether this is normal, whether people just cheat on each other, whether people and his wife literally said to him that she would run away with that sailor and she would leave him at an instant. So that really took a big hit on his mental health. So he's questioning life, and I think she comes along at the right time, at the right place, and she basically comforts him, and he walks in through the door. So this particular part of the scene is quite strange. As you can see, there's a pushchair next to Domino's flat, and there's another door next to Domino's flat as well. And Domino's flat is quite strange because she says she lives with the roommate, but there's no indication that there's a roommate that lives with her, because as soon as you walk in through the door, there's a big Christmas tree, and behind the Christmas tree there's a doorway that goes through her flat into the flat next door. Can you see the flat next door? And there's a doorway behind the Christmas tree which connects these two flats. So she could mean that her flatmate lives next door, but she said roommate, which is a bit strange, which sounds like they share the room, which I don't think they do, because after they walk through the room where there's the big Christmas tree, you got the small kitchen, and from the small kitchen you got the bedroom, and the bedroom is obviously Domino's bedroom, because all the stuff you see in the bedroom is hers. You see her sociology books and things like that, and there's a window which you can see from the kitchen into the bedroom, which shows that there's no privacy between the bedroom and the kitchen. And this also tells us that she owns the whole flat. She owns it, because there's no way she would be a prostitute and just stay in that room while her flatmate's walking around the kitchen cooking or something like that, while she's got clients in the bedroom, because you can see right through the bedroom. So my assumption is her flatmate lives next door, and you can see the two doors are connecting. So let's move on. And also the pram. The pram could mean either Sally has got a baby or either Domino's got a baby. So either one of the two have got babies. So let's walk on. But I got a feeling it's Domino that's got the baby, and I'll explain why. So this particular scene is quite interesting because, you know, Dr. Bill looks at the tree and he says, "Nice tree," and they both laugh it off. And why would he say that? Kubrick doesn't mess around with words. Every word, you know, is carefully written and constructed. And Kubrick's had 10 years to work on this project, so he would have been analyzing every single word, every single shot with great detail. So when Dr. Bill says "nice tree," he wants us to focus on the tree, because later on when he comes back to Domino's flat with a cake, we look at the tree and the tree is completely broken, completely destroyed, which tells us there was some sort of struggle going on. And I will get to that point, but you know, that tree is a major clue to what happened to Domino later on. So let's move on. And you can see that door behind the tree, guys. Can you see that door easily behind the tree? And that door leads to next door. So that could be where Sally stays, or that could be where Sally stays and looks after maybe Domino's child. Maybe Domino's got the child while Domino works, and if Sally works, maybe Domino looks after her own child. I think that child is Domino's, and I'll explain why. So Domino walks in, and take a look at the flat. It's quite messy. There's towels, there's food. These cards that you see on the right side of the room, they are kind of putting away. And when we come in later on, when Sally comes in, these cards are changed positions for some reason. So there's a lot of clues in here, a lot of Easter eggs. You can see what's on the shelf, for example. And I'm not going to go through it because there's so many Easter eggs here. I'm just going to talk about Domino's intentions here. So let's walk in, and you can see, especially to this part of the scene, can you see all these presents on the bed? Sorry, not on the bed, on the bathroom. And this is why I think that child is Domino's, because I think everyone that gives presents has not only given to Domino, but they've also probably given to Domino's child. And there's also like teddy bears in Domino's bed as well, which I think, it's not just for her, but it's also for her child. But one thing you might notice with the cards, one particular issue with the cards is you can see Cupid there. And I don't know if you know the tale of Cupid's arrow. And I think that either Cupid's arrow hits Dr. Bill or it hits Domino, because there seems to be a genuine connection between these two, even though they've met for a short time. She's a prostitute, and I think there's genuine connection between Dr. Bill and Domino here. And I think either one of them falls in love with each other, or they both do. They both are in love. Another thing you might notice is a Cinderella shoe there, one gold shoe, not a pair of gold shoes, just one, which tells us that maybe Domino is still living in her princess era. She's waiting for her Prince Charming to come in and fit the shoe on her. So this is almost like a fairy tale, and it sounds like Domino has met her Prince Charming, or in this case, maybe like the film Pretty Woman, for example. So she takes her top off, and you can see the Illuminati sign. I don't know if you noticed her purple top has got the Illuminati sign. Those of you who know Illuminati know that's exactly what the Illuminati sign looks like in the blue. And this is also the X sign, Elon Musk's X, because you know, if you guys Google X and the Illuminati sign, you will see the resemblance there as well. So what I find strange about this scene is the fact that they talk about money, and she says something very strange. She says, "Don't worry, I don't look at the time." I mean, what kind of prostitute says something like that, right? It's very strange for a prostitute to say, "Don't worry, I don't look at the time," because time is money for a prostitute, right? And so this tells me two things. Number one, Domino was probably tasked to target him this night. And number two, she was probably tasked to keep him up all night, basically, in this apartment. And why is that important? Well, I'll explain later. So basically, she was tasked to do that. And you know, she's not a real prostitute. She's very high class. She's beautiful. She's not like a drugged up $5 HO in the streets of New York. She's obviously a high class, and she's one of those girls that, you know, the elite, the cult would use for their parties. And I think she's had a task to do here to seduce Dr. Bill. And Dr. Bill they've been trying to seduce Dr. Bill, you know, for the past few days. If you remember the Ziegler's party, you had these two British models who literally were dragging him, you know, by the arm and taking him somewhere to obviously seduce him. And he was like, where you guys taking me? Where you guys taking me? And they were like, don't you want to go underneath the rainbow? And he managed to get out of that. And now it seems that Domino has been tasked to keep him up all night in her apartment. And why would she do that, you might ask? Well, think about it, guys. Why would she keep Dr. Bill in the apartment all night? Well, I'll tell you why. Because Dr. Bill's wife is part of the cult. And Dr. Bill's wife is in the party, in the mansion party. And I made another video. If you look at my videos, guys, you will see I made another video of Dr. Bill's wife, Alice. And she's part of the mansion party. And she's in the balcony with Sandor. And those two people you see in the balcony is his wife and Sandor. And I explain it why in that video. So this explains why she was tasked to keep him up, you know, all night, and why she said something like, don't worry, I don't look at the time. You can tell she's taken her time getting to know him. She's, you know, kissing him. She's taking her time. She doesn't want to rush. So she's obviously tasked to keep him there while his wife is, you know, in the mansion party. His wife does call him, by the way. She does call him, and just to make sure what time he'll be back and what time he'll be out. And look at his wife here. Her hair is done, her makeup is done, her nails are done. She's ready to go out, guys. She is absolutely ready to go out. The only thing that's missing is a dress. And we know that, you know, all Nicole has to do is wear a dress and she's ready. I mean, we've seen that in the beginning of the movie when she takes her black dress off. How easy for her to take off a dress and put it back on, right? How long is it going to take? Maybe 5 minutes? Her hair is done, her makeup's done, her nails are done. She's ready to go, guys. She is ready to go to that party. And we also know that, you know, a lot of these SRA victims are psychics as well. You know, they're very much they've got that psychic ability because they've gone through years of trauma. And a lot of these SRA kids and victims grow up with psychic abilities as well. So she was probably just checking up on him, making sure he's okay, and, you know, and she just probably did it out of instinct. So we have a jump cut here where Domino, obviously, you can tell, this is a very intimate kiss, guys. This is not the kind of kiss that a prostitute would give to her client. If you notice, this is a very intimate kiss. She's leaning forward. She's got her eyes closed. And prostitutes don't kiss their clients. If I'm sure a lot of you guys probably, I don't want to assume anything, but I'm sure a lot of you guys know that if you are with a prostitute, they normally don't kiss you, right? So I find it very, very strange that why Domino would just lean over and start kissing Dr. Bill. It's just not something that happens when you go to see a prostitute, because they don't want any feelings to be involved. It's just it's just sex basically. There shouldn't be any feelings involved, and you can tell by this particular kiss. And both of them, they seem very, they seem very in love. They got this connection. It seems like, I wouldn't say love, but definitely lust. But they've been hit by Cupid's arrow, which Kubrick placed in on top of the bathroom, on top of the bathtub, I mean. So that's a very intimate kiss, and it shows they are very, very, they like each other, and they have a deep connection, and they look into each other's eyes, and I think they can see each other's souls. And I think Tom is quite surprised that he's found somebody he can connect with, and somebody who has a soul. He doesn't think his wife has got a soul. I think his wife has lost her soul a long time ago, with being part of the SRA and being part of the cult. And look at her. She obviously sees Tom at this point. Tom at this point, his eyes are wide shut, by the way. He hasn't been initiated to the cult yet. So his soul is still intact. He's still got a soul at this point. And I think this is the tragic part of the film. This is the last we see of him, where he's actually got a soul, but he loses it once he gets initiated. And obviously by the end of the film, he's completely lost his soul, but his eyes are wide open. And we see a lot of like masks in her room as well. This kind of, also Kubrick is hinting, she's obviously part of the cult, part of the mansion party. She's probably one of the models that usually goes, but at this point she's been tasked to keep him in there and sleep with him and seduce him. There's a book called Introducing Sociology, which tells us she's a student as well. So it tells us a lot about her, basically. And there's lots of mirrors as well, and stuff like that. So his wife obviously calls him, and you can see like she's all ready, guys. She's already, and she's just making sure he's okay. And at this point, you can see that stuffed toy as well. And you see that same stuffed toy at the end of the movie when Bill and Alice give their child away to the traffickers. And this kind of tells us that there's a link between, his daughter and the fate that awaits his daughter, once they start trafficking their daughter. And this is probably what's going to happen. She's going to grow up becoming, a prostitute or a slave to the cult, But this tiger basically links us to Domino and his daughter, basically, and the fate of both of them. So you can see at this point, Domino looks very disappointed. You see I Love New York at the back of the room. In Dr. Bill's flat, you see I Love Art, which his wife, is an artist, and she put I Love Art in the fridge. So that you see that connection there. And he's having second thoughts at this point, and he just spoke to his wife. And she looks very disappointed. He decides to pay for the service anyway, and she looks ecstatic, but she's still a little bit disappointed. She couldn't do her job. She couldn't keep him up all night. She couldn't, obviously do her job, and he walks on for the rest of the night. So let's fast forward to Dr. Bill coming back to see Domino. And I think the reason he's come back to see Domino is he's obviously got a present, a cake for her. I think that he believes that girl that tried to save him in the mansion party. I believe he thinks that's Domino. It doesn't matter what we think. That this is what he believes. I think he believes that was Domino, because it all makes sense to him. You know, he had the connection with her, and later on in the party, she's trying to save him. So he was just basically putting two and two together. So this is why he's back with the cake. So he's hoping it's her, and he wants to rekindle that, you know, brief romance that they had. And unfortunately for him, it's not Domino anymore. It's Sally. So Sally knows about him, and she lets him in. And he walks in with her, but there's something different about Dr. Bill this time. You know, he's oozing a lot of confidence. He's oozing masculinity. His ego is back, and something changed in him after the mansion party. And I think it's because he got initial, you know, he's had his initiation, and he also probably thinks that, you know, he also probably thinks that he's got out with his life intact, and he feels like he can't do any wrong. He feels like he's a superhero, and he feels that probably he wants to come in, and he's hoping that he would meet Domino and they would fall in love and they would run away together. So he's got all these like really happy thoughts, you know, and you know, he's happy to be alive. He's, you know, he could have been dead in the party, and I think so there's a spring in his step basically. This is completely different from when he first met Domino. If you remember when he first met Domino, he was down. He had his ego bruised. He was extremely depressed. He had these kids basically, you know, messing around with his sexuality. So Domino basically picked him up, but this time he's oozing confidence. He's pretty much ready to go. And unfortunately, it's not Domino anymore. It's Sally this time. But if you notice Sally's eyes, they look pretty normal at this point. But something's different, guys. There's a pram that's, you know, the blue pram on the left of the room, that's open. So obviously that's a clue. So when they walk in, you can see Sally's eyes become very dark. You know, they become very dark and very witch-like. You know, almost like she's got no soul. You can directly look straight in. You know, it's completely dark. It's like the mansion party where you see all these masks with no eyes. It's just darkness. That's exactly what Sally looks like at this point. And look at the tree, guys. The tree is completely destroyed. Remember earlier on when he first came and he said nice tree? Well, it's not a nice tree anymore. It's completely destroyed, which tells us that there was some sort of struggle going on. And if you notice the tree, there's a witchcraft sign on it as well. And when I say witchcraft sign, don't you think it looks like this particular symbol? Let's go back to the tree. You can just make it out, and it's very similar to this particular symbol. And this particular symbol signifies love. So this means love. So it's kind of like a love potion, witchcraft. And he's obviously in Domino's apartment because of love. He probably thinks he's in love with Domino. She tried to save him at the party and stuff. So he's hoping he would meet her. He's hoping she's still alive, and all of that was just an act, and they would run away and be with each other. I think she was the only soul that he met for a long time, so that's why he's back. So it looks very similar to a witchcraft kind of tree, and the tree is obviously it's not a nice tree anymore. And I just can't get over Sally. Look at her eyes, are completely dark. It's almost like she has literally no soul, guys. And again, look at that door behind the tree as well. So what I think has happened is, I think they killed Domino, unfortunately. And the reason they killed Domino could be for a number of reasons. Obviously, we don't know for sure. Number one, she failed at her job at keeping Dr. Bill in her apartment that night, so she failed at that task. Secondly, that HIV test could have been true. Maybe she did have HIV. And what we know is that these elites, these people that run these parties, they cannot afford to have any of their models have HIV, because if one model has HIV, she can pass that on to all of the clients and all these parties, because we know that these girls, they work at these parties, so they can't afford any women, as part of the cult to have any sort of disease, especially not HIV. So they probably got rid of her for that. Or, she probably tried to warn someone, or she probably did something naughty. Maybe she fell in love with Dr. Bill, and she tried to do something to kind of save his life, maybe. At this point, we're just guessing, guys. I mean, all we know is that, she was a kind soul, and there was a genuine connection between them. And I think the cult, maybe they got rid of her because of that. Because one thing you cannot do in the cult, you cannot fall in love, you cannot have any feelings, because end of the day, these are good feelings. But what we know about the cult is pure evil. You can't have a soul when you're part of the cult. So maybe they got rid of her because of that. There could be many reasons, guys. And I think it could be because they sensed there was a genuine connection between them, and I think that was a danger to them. And as you can see with Sally, she has literally no soul. You can see she's very evil, and she cannot be trusted. But you don't get the same sense with Domino. And you can see Sally, she, even though Domino's killed, or she's obviously had some part to play in that. She's been told by the cult to say that if Bill turns up, then tell him that she's got HIV, and he won't bother you again. But what does she do? She immediately tries to seduce him. She's in his space, even though that she probably knows that Sally probably, not Sally, Domino probably told her that she likes Dr. Bill, and even though she's been hearing nice things about him, she's obviously there flirting, she's trying it on. Or it could be another thing as well. It could be that Dr. Bill has just been, just had his initiation at the party, and there's something different about him. He's part of the cult now, and maybe she sensed that. Maybe she sensed some sort of presence or power in him, and she's immediately drawn to it because she's part of the cult as well, you see. And the girls are trained to do that in the party. And same thing happened to his wife Alice in the beginning of the film, when Sandor came in, and he drank her glass, and she was immediately drawn to him. So it's very similar to what's happening with Sally being drawn to Bill here. And I think this happened amongst the cult members. They have anybody who's a member of the cult, has power, has you must be somebody to be part of the club. So she sensed that. So that's why she's immediately drawn to him. And you can see the signs of her fingers as well. Those of you who know, that's also an Illuminati sign, the 4 fingers. You're welcome to kind of check that up as well. And also the room itself has changed. If you guys notice, the cards on the left have moved. There's no more Cupid card anymore. All the presents are gone. Things have just moved around. Things are very clean and tidy. So this tells us that Sally has taken over this flat, because she knows there's no more Domino, so she's completely taken over the flat now. So where is Domino? We know that Domino is probably dead, and I think she's probably somewhere in that door next door, behind the Christmas tree. They've probably hid her body, and probably will take her body out at some point. And her body will probably come out of the Lotto store, because that looks like that Lotto store, the way the whole building is designed, that Lotto store could be a front, and it leads up to that, flat where maybe Sally's been murdered. So what else do we know? We know that at this point, Sally is really drawn to him. She wants to sleep with him, but she's been tasked. She's been tasked by the cult. When the Bill comes in, make sure you tell Bill about the HIV. And at this point, Bill is extremely shocked. And Bill knows he's a doctor, so he knows that if they're roommates and one of the girls has got HIV, there's a chance the other might have HIV as well. So he doesn't take the chance to sleep with her. But I think most likely he's upset that Domino's got HIV. I think he's very, very upset because I think there was genuine care with him and there was a genuine connection between him and Domino. But he's a doctor, so he knows that there cannot be a future with somebody with HIV. So I think suddenly realization and real life has hit him hard, and that's why he walks out. And she's obviously she's quite disappointed as well. So hopefully that answers all your questions, guys. I mean, what about the baby, you might ask? Well, I think that baby is probably Domino's baby, and we know that because there's so many presents on top of the buff, and we can assume that most of the presents were for the baby, not for her. And also, I think that the cult has probably taken that baby away. What we do know about a lot of these SRA victims are kidnapped from birth, or they are bred from birth as well. They are bred by these girls, prostitutes, you name it, girls that are part of the club. They breed them basically, or they kidnap them. And I think what they've done is they've probably taken her baby away to basically turn her into another one of the SRA victims. And we know that because the pram outside the door is open, so they have obviously used it. And yeah, that's a sad, tragic tale of Domino and her baby. I hope that all makes sense, guys. Make sure you subscribe, check out my other videos, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care for now. Bye bye.